Hi, I'm Mike, PokeTips Mike, and that right behind me is Work in Progress. Pokémon Sword and Shield are a little bit over a month away, and that means we're in the endgame now. Some of the biggest YouTubers like Dan TDM are even getting review copies of the game to play a little bit of early, and oh my god, I'm so jealous, you don't know how badly I want to get my hands on these games. But for the rest of us not so massive YouTubers, instead of playing the game, we get to look at some Pokémon Sword and Shield leaks. A few days ago, an alleged Pokémon Sword and Shield leak popped up online called the Wiseman leak. And I don't know about you, but I'm loving the names for the leaks this season. We have the Affleck leak, we have the Chinese Riddler leak, and now we have the Wiseman leak. Anyway, if this leak is real, it tells us a lot of cool things about Pokémon Sword and Shield, like the final evolutions of the starter Pokémon's names and typing, special Galar forms for older Pokémon, and even some evolutions for new Pokémon that we haven't seen yet. However, going into this leak, I definitely want to make it clear, this is not confirmed. Although this leak does look believable, which is why I'm covering it, it definitely can easily be a very well-crafted fake leak. So everything we're about to go over here, take it with a grain of salt. But oh man, if this leak is real, there's some pretty juicy stuff in there, so spoiler warning just in case. Alright, so if you're ready to learn all about what could be a huge Pokémon Sword and Shield leak, go ahead and smash the like button right now, and let's just get right into it. Alright, so it all starts off with this picture of who I'm assuming to be the Wiseman, and he definitely looks very wise. He could tell me something, and I would believe it 100%. So hopefully he's telling the truth. I hope this isn't all lies. This leak is kind of interesting because it's in a Q&A type format. People asked this leaker some questions, and then they answered what they could. The first question that we have here is, what is one non-legendary Pokemon we haven't seen in leaks or trailers yet that you liked? And the Wiseman leaker answered and said RolliePollies Evolution, the middle stage. It's supposed to be called RollieCoaster, sort of like a minecart that creates its own track. First off, I love that name, RollieCoaster, and part of the reason why I think this leak could potentially be true is some of these names in here are so clever and so silly that it seems like somebody spent a long time thinking about them. And they're totally names that I could see Pokemon and Nintendo actually using. A minecart Pokemon would definitely be very interesting, something we have not seen before, and it would kind of make sense since we've seen Roly-Poly before in that little mine shaft place, so maybe it evolves and takes on its appearance based on its environment where it lives. Our next question asks the leaker to tell us about a totally new Pokemon, and they said there's going to be a Pokemon named Turfworm, which is going to be a ground and bug type. Ground and bug is a pretty cool typing for a Pokemon. I believe we've seen it before with Nincada. And hopefully it would keep that typing through its whole evolutionary line, since Nincada loses it when it evolves into either Shedinja or Ninjask. In question number 3, somebody asked the leaker if they could tell us a Pokemon that's been cut from Sword and Shield. And for all of you fans of Salandit, hopefully I said that right, that Pokemon, according to this leaker, has been cut. Go ahead and put some Fs in the comments section for Salandit. Now, I feel bad for the person that asked the 4th question. They asked, what are the types of the Boxable legendary Pokemon? Who was the elephant Pokemon Chairman Rose sends out in the trailer? What is the pseudo-legendary? And are there any cool ghost types? But the leaker only answered the first question and said that both Zacian and Zamazenta are going to be steel and fairy types. You know, I could kind of see Zacian and Zamazenta both as Steel Fairy. Those are two Pokemon that when I look at them, I can't really exactly put a pin on what type they are. Steel and Fairy definitely seems like a legendary type combo. We've seen a lot of Fairy legendaries, we've seen a lot of Steel legendaries, so it would definitely work. And while we're talking about the legendary Pokemon, I want to jump to the other side of the leak really quickly to talk about one more thing the leaker mentioned, their abilities. The Wiseman leaker didn't tell us what Zacian and Zamazenta's abilities are called, however they did tell us the abilities are going to allow them to Gigantamax for the whole battle. As we know right now, Dynamax and Gigantamax are only supposed to last for 3 turns, so an ability that lets you Gigantamax for the whole battle can definitely change the tide of how everything goes. These legendaries sound like they're going to be insanely powerful. In question number 5, they did answer the question of what is the pseudo-legendary Pokemon. Now, if you don't know what a pseudo-legendary Pokemon is, it's basically any Pokemon that has like a 3-stage evolutionary line where the last Pokemon has a base stat total of 600. And if that just sounded wild and made you go, whoa, 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 wait, what? Then basically I'm talking about Pokemon like Dratini, Dragonair, Dragonite, Gible, Gabite, Garchomp, like those types of Pokemon. Now, the leaker here said the pseudo-legendary is an... I'm gonna let my friends at Google say that one for you.
Ouroboros.
Thank you very much, Google. Basically, it's gonna be inspired after the Ouroboros, which is a snake that comes in a full circle and it's swallowing its tail. That's really weird. The leaker says it's going to start from a slow worm and end up as a giant self-eating dragon snake and be both ghost and dragon type. Well, if it's eating itself, I could easily see why it's going to be a ghost type. There isn't going to be much left of it when it's done with it eating itself. Now, here comes some information about the starters and their evolutions. So Grookey's family is going to be called Grookey first stage, then Grunky, then Goraka as the final evolution, and what's very interesting is the leaker says that Pokemon is going to be grass and normal type, which has never been done before for a starter Pokemon. We don't have any normal type starter Pokemon. That would be weird. Now, you might look at that combination grass normal and say, why normal? But if you think about it, it actually does kind of make sense. From what we know about Grookey, it's going to be a very musical Pokemon. And if you think about it, most sound damaging moves and even non-damaging moves like Uproar, Boom Burst, Screech, they're all normal type. So if Grookey is going to evolve into a Pokemon that's very musical and very loud, it would make sense for its evolution to become a normal type so it could take advantage of using those normal type attacks to its fullest potential. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Grookey's final evolution potentially being a grass to normal type. This is definitely out there. Now on to Scorbunny. Its second stage, which we know from the Affleck leak, is going to be called Raboot, and then its final evolution is going to be called Hair Trick. And like we already know, its final evolution is just going to be a pure fire type. Also, further down on the leak, the leaker did mention that Hair Trick is supposed to look somewhat humanoid, but its facial features are very animal. Now onto the Sobble family. We already know what the whole family is going to be called thanks to the Affleck leak. However, here they tell us it's going to be a water and poison type, which I could totally see for a spy. However, what would make this very interesting is Inteleon, if it's water and poison type, it would actually have an advantage over Goraka, which would be a grass and normal type, since we all know poison is super effective against grass. That would be another huge first for Pokemon because normally the starters fall into this little triangle where one starter is good against the other starter and weak against the third starter. This would definitely break that pattern and be insanely interesting to see. Although at this point it has been 8 generations, so maybe this is the game where they'll break that formula just a little bit. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now the cool thing about this Wiseman leak is it's going to be pretty easy to know if it's true or not once we see what Grookey evolves into. I have a strong feeling that Pokemon's going to show off the starter evolutions before October is over. Maybe they won't show the final evolutions, maybe they're saving that for the game's release, but I feel like we're going to see at least the first stage soon. So if Grookey evolves into Grunky, that is something that you're not just going to be able to guess. That would be confirmation this leak is real, so we'll just have to wait and see. Next, the Wiseman leaker says that Impidimp can be found hanging upside down in caves like a bat and will pounce at you from off-screen. Kinda freaky. Impidimp's evolution is supposed to be a gargoyle demon vampire thing named Impostire. Or just imposter, I'm not sure how they're supposed to say it, but it does sound a lot like imposter. Which again sounds really clever, and it might be something that Pokemon would do. And now we're getting near the end of this leak, the Wiseman tells us a little bit about the story. They said Olina is like Plumeria from Pokemon Sun and Moon, and Rose is not like Guzma. Now that's pretty interesting to note right there, because a lot of people right now are thinking that Rose is pulling the strings behind the scene and is secretly in charge of something evil, maybe Team Yell. A little further down, the Wiseman was also talking about the characters of Bede and Marnie. They described Bede as a rich snob and Marnie as a reluctant celebrity with a secret quest to defeat Eternatus and end the Gigantamaxing. That sounds like an awesome storyline right there. I really hope that's true. And speaking of Eternatus, which you might remember from the Affleck leak where they described it as the evil third legendary counterpart to Zacian and Zamazenta, the Wiseman described it as a giant Pokemon that came from below, which is turning Pokemon giant to try and wipe civilization and technology off the face of the planet. That sounds like a really dark storyline for Pokemon, but again, if that is true, I would love it. Make it happen. And show us a little bit of that in the trailers, because that would definitely create some hype. And last but not least, we have this here. Somebody asks, what other existing Pokemon are getting Galarian forms and evolutions? N/or new evolutions, and the Wiseman said, Delibird becomes Ice and Ghost type and is like a butler. Now, I'm not sure exactly if this is going to be a Galar form or an evolution. Since it keeps the Ice type, I'm assuming it's going to be an evolution for Delibird, but they didn't give us a name to it, which is surprising since they've named pretty much everything else in this leak. Either way, Delibird is definitely a Pokemon that deserves something, an evolution, a Galar form, something to make it a little bit more relevant. It's been around since Generation 2 and it has this little niche of being like a Santa Pokemon, but other than that, it's not so great, so seeing it get revisited in Sword and Shield, oh, that would make my Christmas. And with that, my friends, that is the end of the Wiseman leak. Lots of interesting stuff. I think for me, the most interesting thing I read out of here was Grookey's final evolution being a grass and normal type. That totally caught me off guard, but if it's true, it would make a lot of sense. In the comment section below, tell me what your favorite part from this leak was, and if you think it's true or not. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did and you haven't already, give it a thumbs up right now. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Instagram at PokeTipsMike. Wow, I say so much stuff at the end of the videos now. And as always, my friends, remember, have a fantastic day.